What's going on, boys and girls? Happy Friday. I've been a little bit absent this week. To be completely frank with you, that Manchester United result knocked me for six. I was furious after that game, and I just didn't have the energy or the appetite to kind of do a video about Kairat at home in the Champions League. I know it's completely unprofessional of me, and consistency is king, but that's just the God's honest truth. Was I was so pissed off by the Manchester United game that I just didn't have the energy or desire to talk about a completely pointless Champions League fixture midweek. So anyway, this is my video for our Premier League match away to Leeds on the weekend in what is, my opinion, the biggest game of our season so far. And I know I have a tendency to say that quite often, but honestly, when you look at where we're at right now, if you look at the form that we're currently going into this match with, from a Premier League perspective, this is huge. And anything other than a win is an absolute disaster. We drew against Liverpool. We drew against Forest. We lost to Manchester United. And we are now in a position where if we do not win on the weekend, we are potentially only 1 or 2 points in front of Manchester City and or Aston Villa, which is just not good enough when you think that literally 10 days ago, we were going into the Forest game potentially in a position to take our lead to 9 points. So it's a really alarming set of results in the Premier League, and it's up to the players, it's up to Arteta, the coaching staff, to turn this around, and it has to start this weekend. Leeds aren't necessarily coming into this in a great run of form. They drew with Everton, they got a win against Fulham, and they lost against Newcastle, so that's their last 3 fixtures. However, in saying that, Leeds are definitely a completely different side to the one that we faced at the beginning of the season, where we beat them 5-0 at the Emirates. Farke has definitely been able to kind of steady the ship with Leeds, and they are actually, all in all, considering where they were at the start of the season, in quite a good run of form. And so this won't be an easy fixture at all. You know, Leeds away, Ellen Road, boisterous crowd. This will not be an easy fixture. I think Leeds will come at us. I think they'll be aggressive. I think they'll want to try and play football. I think that's how they approach games. And you know, on one hand, people might say that will play into our hands, but I really don't know what plays into our hands anymore, if I'm being perfectly honest. I'm going to be really interested to see the way the players approach the first 20 minutes of this match. You know, after the Manchester United result, Arteta came out and spoke quite well, and he said the kind of things that us Arsenal fans probably wanted him to say, which was, you know, we took a moment to reflect, to have some honest conversations. He talked about resetting, he talked about embracing the opportunities, he talked about playing with courage, and that is what we need. I think for too long this season, this team has played, I hate that term, the handbrake, you know, but it's true. This team hasn't embraced how good that they are. This team needs to play with more confidence, in my opinion. I think we are looking a little bit scared and nervous at the moment, which is bleeding into the fan base. And I think at the moment, there's just a lot of kind of nervous energy around the football club. And look, the fans are allowed to be nervous, right? It's been 20 plus years since we won the Premier League. You know, we're all so desperate for it. And I know the players and the coaching staff also are desperate, and they're allowed to be nervous, they're human, but they're the professionals. They're the ones who need to really embrace this. And so I will be interested to see how the players come out in the first 20 minutes, because, you know, are they going to come out feeling sorry for themselves, feeling nervous, feeling tight? Or are they going to come out with their shoulders back, chins up, and go, you know what? All that shit you're talking about in terms of us bottling it, us looking weak, us looking like the worst potential Premier League champions in the history of the Premier League, we'll show you what we're about. And that's what I want to see this weekend. I want to see Arsenal come out and play aggressive, attacking football. That doesn't mean we have to go full-blown crazy. Like, we can still stick to our principles. In my opinion, despite the fact that our defensive record has been a little bit sketchy the last month or so, you know, it was only back in November where we weren't even conceding shots on goal. And I think we still, to this day, have the best defense in world football right now. So let's rely on our defence. Let's know that they can do their job, and let's go ahead and play some aggressive attacking football. And let's put some goals past this Leeds United team. Like, I don't really care who Leeds play. I don't care what type of form they're in. Arsenal should be beating Arsenal should be beating Leeds. End of story. So I just want to see the team go into this with some real kind of like confidence and aggression. And I've been saying that for weeks now, so I know I sound like a bit of a broken record, but it's just about time that Arsenal do that. And if Arteta's coming out and saying that they've spoken about it and that that's what they're going to do, I expect to see it on the weekend. I expect to see it on the weekend, and I expect to see it for the rest of the season. In terms of starting 11, Raya will be back in goal. Timber will be at right back. It was great to see Calafiori finally back in the team. Whether he's right to start, I'm not sure. Personally, if he is, I think he should be playing. I think we've missed him both defensively and going forward. So I'm hoping Calafiori is fit enough to start. If not, it will probably be Nketiah, who's had a few more minutes under his belt in recent matches. I believe it will be Saliba and Gabriel. I don't see why either of them won't play. Zubimendi in the 6, despite the fact he had an absolute shocker against Manchester United. Like, that was probably top 3 worst performances of his so far as an Arsenal player. I really hope he can kind of, fix that up quick smart. Declan Rice will be back in at the 8. He was rested on the weekend, which was great. And then it comes back to the 10 conversation. And look, I've been pretty adamant about my position on this. I think Odegaard has been absolutely appalling for the last 18 months. He's had a few moments this season, a few games where you think, okay, yeah, this is looking good. He's looking kind of back to where he was back in 22, 23. But all in all, and particularly in these last few matches, he's gone back to just this absolute shell of a player who offers nothing from a point of like attacking. He's not creating chances. He's not scoring goals. He's slow on the ball. He's slowing play down. He's in the wrong parts of the pitch. He doesn't want to get into 50-50s. He's weak on and off the ball, and he's just not offering anything. And so I know it's a really tricky one, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be halfway through a season, particularly a season where you're trying to win the Premier League, and be in a position where you're basically dropping your captain. I understand that. But I really don't think he deserves to start. I don't think he deserves to start. And so how long do we continue to let him just play this poorly and be this ineffective? And look, I know Eze hasn't necessarily grabbed his chances when he's been given them, particularly earlier on in the season when Odegaard was out. But I do think at this point, Eze has kind of earned the right to be given a kind of 3-4 game run to be like, okay, show us what you can do. Take this opportunity. So based on everything I've said about Odegaard, I can't start him in this game. I'm starting Eze in the 10. On the right, it will be Saka. I think Saka needs to step up. Like, if we're talking about players this season, right now, from now to the end of the season, who need to step up and really carry this team, it's the Sakas, it's the Rice, it's the Gabriels. These are the players that need to take that weight of all of this and go, we've got it, let's go. And so I know Saka's been the guy for the last few seasons, but Saka, right now, we need you. We need you to take it to another level. And so I hope that he can start this weekend. On the left, look, I unfortunately, I think we're back in this position now where it's kind of a flip of a coin between Martinelli and Trossard. I think Trossard, all in all this season, has been the better option. He's been one of our better attackers, but I think in recent weeks he's looked pretty average. He was obviously not playing midweek, so I'm assuming that Trossard will start on the left-hand side. But I almost think in this game, maybe it would be good to have some pace in our front line. You know, the one thing about having Saka, Trossard, it's not a ton of pace there. And so I think Martinelli's speed might cause Leeds a little bit more issues, but I think he will go with Trossard. And then up front, it's a bit of a take your pick. Havertz has been out pretty much all season, so you can't really kind of hold anything against him. Jesus has had moments, but he's also had moments where he's looked really average. And Gyökeres has been Gyökeres. The one thing I will say is, Gyökeres has scored two goals in his last 2 Champions League games, which is encouraging. So maybe it's a case of letting him kind of continue from there. But I do think he'll go with Havertz. I think Havertz, obviously came out of the midweek game against Kairat looking quite good. He got a goal, got an assist, and I think a lot of people were kind of raving about his performance. I think we have to factor in who we were playing before we get too carried away. But what I'm trying to say is I actually don't care. Like, whether it's Jesus, Gyökeres, Havertz, I think it's same. So he can pick who he wants to pick. At the end of the day, we should be winning this game. What else do I want to talk about? These next two games are vital for Arsenal. Vital in the fact that City play Tottenham and they play Liverpool. And I don't think, maybe I'm hoping here, but I don't think City will get full points from these next two games. So this is a real opportunity for us to just try and stretch that gap a little bit more to where it probably should be. So it's really important that Arsenal get a win this weekend and get a win in their next Premier League fixture. And let's hope that City do slip at some point between the Tottenham and the Liverpool game. There's a lot that I want to talk about in terms of Arsenal right now. I've got a bit of a question mark at the moment around the actual quality of our squad. Without doubt, we've now created the squad. We've got numbers, which is amazing. We've got options, which is something we haven't had for a very long time, if ever. But I am starting to doubt the quality. And what I mean by that is, how much have we actually raised the bar from last season's team? But I think that's for another video. So let's just stick to course, which is the Leeds United game. This won't be straightforward, but I need this team to make a statement this weekend. I've spoken a lot about statements and taking opportunities this season, and so far Arsenal have failed to do that on pretty much all occasions. This is without question a moment right now where there is going to be so much pressure on this Arsenal team this weekend. The noise outside of Arsenal Football Club in regard to their recent results within the Premier League is huge. All sorts of conversations are taking place right now about who we are, what we're doing, what we're not doing. This is an opportunity for those 11 players on Saturday to stand up and show everyone what we really are about. Because I'm not going to sit here and say that if we don't win on the weekend, then that's it, we won't win the Premier League. I don't think we're not at that point. But I will have real grave fears for the ability of this team to deal with the pressure that's going to be coming and that is building if they can't get a win this weekend against Leeds. You can't go 4 games in a row in the Premier League without winning if you want to win the Premier League. So this is a massive game. And look, I do, and maybe I'm speaking with my heart here, because I must admit these last few results have really rocked me, and I am concerned by the way we are playing, and I don't think we've clicked by any means, so I am a little bit nervous by that, but I have to back the boys. I have to hope that they are going to stand up and deliver this weekend, because they just have to. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 win. My star man is going to be Saka, because I just think he is so overdue a top performance. And like I said earlier on, he's one of those players that I'm looking to in these tough times to drag us over the line in matches. So that's my prediction. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.